Hey y'all. My name is Billy Hoffman. Some ways to identify is I am a cis white male. I was born and raised in Colorado. I like to rock climb. I like to bike. I used to be a big soccer player. So athletics play a big part in my life. I think I would identify as an athlete for sure. Um, yeah, years of soccer. I played college soccer, so that definitely perpetuates throughout my life being fit and active and healthy, which is one of my later values, my life values from the life value inventory. So we'll get to that. Some of my hopes, dreams, aspirations. Um, I would love to get back into working with athletes. I don't really know in what capacity. Originally, when I was looking to go to school, I looked at DU and their sports psychology program. Through more research, though, I learned that sports psychologists, unless you get your PhD, don't actually have the ability to counsel or do any therapy. So that was a big shift in ideas and what I wanted to do. But I would love to find my way back into that. It's actually how I got into ERC, was because I was looking at a friend who went to DU, who's now currently getting her PhD in sports psych from Boston University, and that's how I found ERC was through that, and eating disorders being something that I would love to work with in the future, and so prevalent in the athletic world. Also, sorry if I'm a little slow. I just worked 12 hours, so my brain's my brain's struggling. But getting back into the sports world in whatever capacity that looks like is massively important for me. I know it's super helpful for myself in college, which I guess a little bit why the counseling profession. In college with sports and just in college in general was a hard time in life. Moving away from home, trying to figure out who I was, performing at the Division I level, and the stress and anxieties that came from that in college, which now maybe in hindsight a little bit due to potential heart problems, was the first time in my life that I started getting anxiety attacks and panic attacks and things like that. So working through that and knowing how helpful it was to have athletic trainers and loved ones and like a support system that I could fall back on was really, really, really helpful. Specifically counseling, though, I guess I'm kind of all over the place. What population of counseling say? Okay. Specifically, why counseling was when I had surgery on my right foot and ankle, which turns out that I played my whole career, 5 years, with a broken right foot and ankle. During that time, during my 5 months, 6 months of inactivity and not being able to move, all the pain and trying to process what my career would have looked like and all the impacts and things like that, it was a really, really low moment for me mentally. Um, and that's kind of when I decided the counseling profession. I originally was undergrad. My undergrad was originally pre-med, and after some thought and consideration, I decided no pre-med. I didn't want to do that anymore. I wanted something more interactive, something more humanistic, right? Like talking to people, interacting in that way. I'd always loved having really deep conversations with friends, and they always seemed to be really open and vulnerable with me. People talking to me has always come easily. I thank my dad and his New Yorker for being so talkative. It really, really paid out nicely for me. But originally pre-med, and then during soccer with all the injuries and whatnot, I thought maybe physical therapy. I was like, okay, that's interesting. I could do something like that. I know the recovery and working with athletes, that would be really cool. But the more and more I thought about it and going through that experience, post-graduation, post-surgery, I realized that the thing I always valued the most out of those experiences was the people. It was always getting to know the people. The things I loved about sports were always the people, right? Sports are great, and I love them, and being active is nice, but the connection with people is what I've always loved, and sports are such a great way to do that. The more I thought about it, the counseling profession just started to peek out a little bit more. So, like I said, hopes, dreams, aspiration, the population or counseling setting I would love to do work in. Right now, I think I would actually really love to graduate and start working at ERC. There are therapists there, so much support. It's that integrated behavioral health. So they work with doctors and psychs, nurses, floor staff, everything. And I think that's really, really cool because working with a full team, the ability to learn and grow in that setting and know that I'm supported and I have help, that I'm not the only one providing someone care so early on, because as much as this program will really help, I think a lot of the learning will happen once I'm sitting across from someone. So I would love to work in a setting like that. After that, like I said, athletes. So I don't know if that's private practice in the future or what. Ideally, I've heard rumor, but nothing specifically, that the NCAA and specifically Division One is going to start requiring counselors and dietitians on staff. So much like we had PTs and physical therapists, and physical trainers and athletic trainers and the whole works from a body and like medical perspective. We didn't really have anything for like the mental side. So if that's true and that's something that starts happening, I would love to do that. Find my way back into a Division One program like CU Boulder or something like that, and stay local in Colorado and work with those athletes as they transition into life in general, but also handling the pressures that come along with sports and everything like that, and keeping their mental there. That's why also eating disorders being such a right the co-occurrence between those two things are massive now in hindsight, right? Another reason why I got into ERC is myself and other people that there was eating disorders were super prevalent. To move a little quicker because I only have 3 minutes left. That was a lot on that. My top 3 values. I got a 4-way tie at 12, and it was achievement, concern for the environment, financial prosperity, health, and activity. I think those are really spot on. Maybe in the order of health and activity, achievement, concern for the environment, and then financial prosperity. The financial prosperity for me is something that I really want, but I think it's mostly because it allows me to spend more time on my body and doing the things I love outdoors and all of that. I also grew up in a family that was definitely lower middle class. But money has always been something that really, really stresses me out. So having financial prosperity, rather financial security, I think is a better way to put that, is something that I definitely strive for. I don't think any of them surprise me. The financial prosperity, that verbiage sends me to like being overly concerned about money, whereas I think, like I said, mostly financial security rather than prosperity, but I guess that's just my interpretation of that. What diagnosis feels personal to you? Eating disorders, definitely. Anorexia nervosa, the restrictive subtype. It definitely hits home. In college, there was a time period where I was really concerned with that. I was running a 5-minute mile. I weighed 165, and they did a body fat test on me, the pinch test on the side, and it came back higher than they would have liked, which was unreliable. And now I've worked through. But there's a time where they asked me to cut, and it definitely put a toll on my mental well-being during college, but also sent me down a path of being overly concerned with that and stuff that I'm still working on now. Body image has always been something for me, so I think that one is definitely personal and close to me. Goals you want to work on. A goal for class. I think I mentioned it earlier, getting more familiar with the eating disorder diagnosis and criteria for that. I'm fairly aware right now, but sometimes I get a little confused going back and forth. So it'd be nice to really nail those down and be able to better identify them just straight off the bat with people, based on personalities and traits that I'm seeing. Goal professional. Work with professional athletes. yeah, I mean, it's a little bit my want to get back into that world, and maybe a little bit of not being able to give up the the sports for sure. But I just really love them. I miss being around a group of people who were so dedicated and committed to something in such a unique way. I don't know if I definitely haven't found that since leaving sports. So right now it's very unique to that, and I think that draws me in a lot. And then one personal goal, a little far fetched, but I would love to. I'm working on. I can do pistol squats right now, but I have a three-legged dog, Moxie. Oh, she's not in the room. Otherwise, I would show her. So I've been working on pistol squats. So one-legged squat, one-legged push-up, or one-arm push-up, and a one-arm pull-up. Can do the squats. Push-ups are hard, and then the pull-up seems it's an out there. It's a stretch, but I'm excited, and I think it'd be great for climbing too, which is something I'm really excited about. And then concerns, fears, ugh, it all scares me a little bit. Um, the labels being put on people, I think is something that definitely is hard for me to work with. Um, but also I think diagnosis. There's so much. It's so specific. It's a lot of information, and I think private practice not working in integrated health or behavioral health would also be really really daunting, knowing that I'm the only one. I know I have support as well and in other ways, but making a decision like that on my own, I think would be really hard. So I know I'm a little over time. Sorry, but thank you. Have a good night.